Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome back to the Shakors. We are live. Be sure to share the stream on your pages and be sure to share, the Shakors page and like and subscribe. We on YouTube now too. We're doing a lot of good stuff. Alhamdulillah. Today, I am hosting again, and we will be joined by my lovely co-host Ndola shortly. And so we're gonna get this thing started. We have two amazing women with us today to talk about marriage. Monday we talked about marriage with Imam Nadeem and Brother Haroon Goodson. They have a lot of experience in marriage, and so it was a very good conversation. Today we're joined by the one and only Asha Haygood, Ndola's older sister. Assalamu alaikum, sis.
Wa alaikum salam.
How you doing?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. Thanks for having me on.
Alhamdulillah. Glad you can make it. And the one and only is also joining us, the legendary, the infamous, I don't even know what to say about this. I was looking through some of her pictures today. I was like, man, we've known each other for a long time. Been a lot of stuff happening over the years. The one and only Miss Latifah Ali. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. I'm like, where is he going with this?
You're just safe. You're in a safe place. You're in a safe place.
I know. I'm in good hands. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So, alhamdulillah, thank you all for joining us. We've been talking about the importance of Muslim families and stuff like that. And I think that it's important that we broke it up the way we did to get a women's perspective and a men's perspective. So Monday, we kind of got a man's perspective on what marriage really means to them. And so today, we kind of want to get the sister's perspective. How y'all feel about marriage? So to start it off, we're going to start with Asha. How long have you been married?
I have been married. It'll be 20 years come November this year, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah. And Miss Latifah, how long have you been married?
We will have been married. Let me think. It'll be 11 years in a month. So we're a month away from our 11-year anniversary.
Okay, all right. That's what's up. I asked the brothers what age they got married, but I'm not gonna ask y'all that. If Ndola was here, I would let her ask, but I'm not gonna do all of that.
But that might be an important question.
Okay, we had to be child brides because we had to be child brides.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I was 21 when I got married.
Okay. What about you, Miss Latifah?
Yeah, I was 27.
27. Okay. Yeah. Cool. What did you do to kind of get yourselves prepared for marriage?
I'll let Asha answer that first.
Well, I just had a real honest talk with myself when I was really ready to get married. When I was just play ready to get married, I had like a laundry list of requirements from the brother. Has to have,
play.
When I was play, you're just playing lip service, like, yeah, I'm ready to get married. But I, was real with myself. I wasn't really ready. But when I was actually ready, that list like dwindled to like 3, like wallahi, 3 solid things. He loved family, that he loved Islam with all his heart, and going hand in hand with that he could teach, so that I could feel comfortable following him as he led.
Right.
And that was good communicator because I've been I know what those waters look like when it's somebody is not. So yeah.
Got you. What and Miss Latifah, what did you do to prepare for marriage? What was that like?
So so full transparency, this is my second marriage.
Okay.
So the first time I got married, I was 19.
Okay.
So thinking about how I prepared for this marriage, having already been married, it was like a world of a difference, right? It was like 3 things. There's something about white, 3 is sunnah, right? So it was 3 things at that point when I decided, like, okay, I want to get married again. I want to have children. I actually wanted someone who already had a kid, which I heard is very random in You know,
that's what you wanted. You actually wanted
people without children are looking for someone with a child, but I was specific in that too. It's very crazy. So I wanted someone who had a child who was no older than 4 years old. 3 was really what I was looking for. And because I wanted kids, so I wanted to know what type of father that they were, so I wouldn't be jumping into it and not knowing. Gotcha. So it was important for me then, but I asked for 3 things. I actually made dua. I said, and I asked Allah to bring me someone whose character I wasn't questioning, who didn't have questionable character. The second thing was, let me be open to however he comes, because I was always like, I don't know you, ain't no hookups. If I see you in one spot, that you ain't the one. So I was like, let me be open to however he comes. And the third thing was, let it be clear to me that he's the one. Okay. Let it be no doubt, very clear. And anybody who knows our story, we met and got married in 13 days. So those things kind of lined up.
Yeah, like, that's kind of quick. That's kind of quick.
Lucky 13.
Yeah, the lucky 13, right?
Right. So what was that like? Because I know that, you know, people probably thought you were crazy. You know, people probably thought you were going through some things. You're going through a midlife crisis. Like, what's going on? Like, how did you?
I had to block a few people from my Facebook. Oh my God. Family members who were like, what?
So how did you really? How were you comfortable with that decision?
So, I just put my trust in Allah. That's the only way I can describe it, because that is so not me. You know, my first marriage, I had known him my whole life. So for me to go from that to knowing somebody for 13 days was really, really crazy. But I put all my trust in Allah. Just kind of walking you through it a little bit, I think that I made him jump through hoops.
In 13 days.
Of course, 13 days, how many hoops can he jump through, right? But it was kind of like, if you don't want to do these things, then you're not serious. Gotcha. Right? So that was going to be off the bat. So I had him meet with one of my brothers, and he's like a brother who doesn't like anybody at all. So I just knew he was going to say no. Like, he doesn't like anybody. He's told me in the past, leave that dude alone. He's not good. Like, and he's always been right. So I was just like, whatever you say, I'm gonna go for it. Right. So he met with him, and I was waiting for the he ain't the one call, and he called me and was like, I like the cat. I was like, what? Yeah. It was crazy. And so that was like trigger number 1. Like, he liked him. He passed that. We talked to the imams. We went through like the checklist of the premarital counseling. And then after he met, you know, one of my brothers, he actually, my father happened to come in town like that same day and was like, let's go out to eat, everybody. So he ended up going to dinner with my father and all my siblings. And he sat with my father. He told my father at the end of the night, I'm gonna marry your daughter. And my dad was like, all right.
Gotcha. Cool. So that's a different experience. Asha, what was your experience like? Like, how did it actually happen? You know?
How did it happen? There are so many blurred lines, like, in our home, because like we both feel like each other were always there. My cousins, he was friends and close with my cousins before I really knew him. And I was just always kind of around, and, you know, I saw him, and, you know, we saw each other. We noted that we had some similar interests. So poetry and writing. So that, you know, we kind of had that connection, but we weren't really checking for each other at that point.
Right.
But yeah. But
what changed the tide? What made y'all start checking for each other?
I would say on my part, definitely maturity. Okay. Like I kind of talked to the point about me thinking I knew what I wanted. You know what I'm saying? And then as I matured, understanding what I needed as my complement, you know, and it was like, just kind of like a light went on, like, let's circle back around, the brothers. circle back around to that brother. So yeah, and the rest is history. We, he was on the same. It doesn't matter to me, but I was the one who was the pursuer.
Okay.
He'll tell you that. He'll tell you he was the one, but I was the one. Like, hold up, let's revisit this. Hey,
just putting yourself out there. Just putting yourself out
right.
there.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, the rest is history.
Got you. That's good. So we got, a story where somebody didn't know, but it was a good fit. The family was cool with it. We got somebody who was in the midst all along, and then it was like, perspective started changing. It was like,
exactly.
Okay.
That's
exactly what so we got two polar opposite ends, right?
Yes.
Right now, there's a lot of conflict between, the idea of people wanting to be married and actually making it happen, right? What's one little piece of advice that you would give a sister that thinks she's ready to be married?
You want life?
Yeah,
I want both of y'all to answer.
Okay.
So what I would say is get rid of that list and be really realistic about it. Like, drop it down to 3. What's really, really important to you. And just like I said, put your trust in Allah and listen. Like, watch the signs and don't ask for something. I can say that every time I have asked for something, if I ask Allah to bring me someone or something, He's brought it to me exactly how I asked for it. And then it's like, no, that wasn't it. That's not what I meant. You know what I mean? I think that's why my 3 changed and how my list changed. It's like, what's really, really important to me. And then it's like, Allah will bring you what it is that you need.
Right.
Allah will definitely,
Yeah.
So I think that would be my advice: is get rid of your list, whatever your list is right now, start over and put 3 things on it.
Right. Yeah, I second that. And just, kind of have that real honest conversation about, how you show up and, what it is that you bring in to the table. Know that kind of, and, for young people, it's harder. I know, thinking back to myself, 19, 20, 21, I didn't really know,
Yeah, and don't tell nobody, but that was before social media too, so.
Yes, and that's key. That's key.
These
social media will have you, you a guru and you got your life figured out and fixed, and everybody else's too. But we didn't have that safety net of social. We was out there flying by ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just knowing what you bring to the table and being honest about that.
Got you. One of the things that y'all are saying is that you got to kind of know yourself. And in your example, Latifah, it was like the timing was almost perfect for them to be able to interact with significant people in your life. Asha, you already knew all this. Everybody knew each other already. Essentially, so the significant parties already knew each other, right? So how important is that in marriage, especially from a woman's perspective, because you're basically going into a relationship where you're going to be protected and maintained by somebody else. So how important is it for the significant people, especially the males, to be involved in that process?
I think it's very important. I think I was incredibly blessed that, the whole vouching for process was pretty much already taken care of. Like, he knew more people in my family than I did. So, they knew and loved him already.
Yeah.
So, and the vouching for is very, very important, of course. Someone that can kind of speak to your character at all times, not just, in the good times, but somebody who can speak to, how you move. And that's obviously very important. And you had said something, La, that I wanted to circle, having a senior moment, but if I remember it, but go ahead.
Go ahead, Latifah.
It's just funny that even though I didn't have, nobody knew him. And when I say nobody, I mean well, I can really, there were people who knew him, but he wasn't a part of the community like, most brothers are when it's like somebody know this dude. But
especially in Atlanta.
In Atlanta, right? And I started to say something, but I stopped myself. So, but he wasn't someone who everybody knew.
Right.
So it was, so that whole, the idea of trusting their character, it was like the person who knew him, who was closest to him that I knew, or the two, I should say, because, it was Riyadh and Harun, who knew him better than, or just knew him, period, like knew him. And I knew them to be good brothers, right? So I'm like, birds of a feather. Like, he got to be a good dude. There's no way that he's not a good dude if these are his friends. Like, I couldn't fathom that. And then for me to hear talking about his daughter, and they were like, he's always with his daughter. Like, she's like at the hip at all times. She was 2 at that time. So it's just like, okay, he's checking off too many boxes. And then for my father to meet this dude, first of all, I got the brother who don't like nobody. And then my father come in town and he just tell him, I'm gonna marry your daughter. My father be like, all right, cool. Like, after first meeting him, it was just like, what is it about this dude that they see? And men have that eye. Like, in a quick minute, they be like, nah, that cat playing games.
Right.
And us as women, we might not listen, because I've been told somebody playing games before and I didn't listen. And I think that men can feel that energy. They can. So, to Asha's point, it's very, very important that you have that's why we have Wakils. That's why we have Walis, because they're going to see something in a dude that we can't. Like, we'll have the blinders, the love blinders, whatever the blinders are, but they can see straight through that because they're not invested like we are.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, just to go back a little bit, like you were saying, like you had asked the law for certain things at this point, and it was like you were open to receiving something that you couldn't even necessarily imagine. You just wanted to be in the frame of mind to receive it.
Yes.
And that's important, is to that trust in the law that, because again, 13 days, I couldn't fathom at this point in my life, still meeting somebody, and in 13 days,
listen, it is a story, inshallah, we can tell our grandchildren.
Inshallah.
But it ain't something I'm recommending. Like, I'm like, yeah, go for it.
Put that out there. Right.
Allah gave y'all that fast track package.
Very clear that I am not recommending it at all. I do believe that you should, but I think those things need to be in place. Like, you need to, you need to have a conversation with Allah. You need to really be honest about it, not like faking. It's a lot of people who be like, yeah, I asked Allah for this, and that's not really what they did. It wasn't really in their heart like that. And I was at that moment in my life, I was ready to be married, and I was no longer playing games with anyone. Like, if they're not immediately, if you're not a part of this crazy program, like, if I'm telling you, you can't call me until you meet this dude, and you like, nah, let's talk a little bit more. Nope, you're not the one.
Right. Yeah. Like you said, putting those guidelines in place,
sure.
and being able to adhere to them. Go ahead, Asha, what you have?
Oh no, I was joking. I said Allah gave them that fast track package. I mean, the brother that don't like nobody, checked them off. Dad checked them, sped them on through.
Right. No, for sure. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Green light.
Yeah. How has marriage helped you all in your growth as a Muslim?
It definitely exercises your patience muscle. And Dola always jokes with me. She's like, you must pray for patience. You must pray. Well, I forget what she'll have to tell you if she comes into the chat. She was like, yeah, you be praying for that. That's why you get so many things that test your patience. But yeah, it definitely strengthens your patience muscle. It definitely makes you more introspective. It strengthens your humility muscle, because when you are in a relationship and you got times where you're buttoned up, and the instinct is this person is wrong, but it does kind of, you have to be self-effacing and kind of figure out the ways that you need to grow and stretch. And so, yeah, definitely all those things.
Got you. Was it, and just to let the people know out there, is it easy, Asha? Is it easy to look into yourself?
Woo! It depends on the day you ask me. Easy. Ooh, you know what? Sometimes it is. And the times that it is, it makes up for any of the difficult times. My good sister Karima, she says that, like, yeah, it the times that it is easy and good makes up for any of the difficult times. It really has you remember, okay, yeah, this is why we're doing this. This is, these are the perks. Yeah.
For sure. Latifah, what about you? How has marriage helped you in your growth and development as a Muslim woman?
So I will say that marriage, us being garments for each other, protecting each other, being married is a constant reminder of what Allah says about us, about fulfilling your half your deen for, like, it's a constant reminder. And she said a mirror is like, man, it's like you really have to look at yourself. And then when you start adding kids into it, it becomes even greater, right? Because now it's like, not only are you taking care of each other, but you also, and being examples for each other, you also have to be there for the kids. So for me, I think that just in my growth in Islam and in my understanding has grown in a sense of why, Allah says that it's half our deen, and why we are supposed to, Did I lose you? Okay.
No, you here.
I thought it was me. Okay.
Okay. I think you're good now.
Yeah, I think you're good. She might not hear us.
Am I frozen or y'all frozen?
No, you're good.
You're good. I don't think she hears us.
Nah, she doesn't. We're gonna let her log back in. Go ahead, log back in.
I'm back.
Yeah, you back. There you go.
You back.
Like you never left before.
Y'all heard me say.
Right, like you never left before.
Like I never left.
Right. But no, you were just talking about how, we're garments for each other, and, especially when we have children, how important it is to, be examples to them as well, and that's where you kind of were.
Yeah. So, when it comes to him and I, we're very conscious of what our children see and what they hear from us, from people around us. And we have a lot of, outside influences, and we have a lot of, just things, kind of obstacles that we have to maneuver through as a couple. And one thing that I can say about, me and my husband is that even when, like, things can be completely chaotic outside of us, but we're good. Like, we are almost always on the same page when it comes to, just different, like how we think about what should, even if it isn't happening, what we should be doing, what, we're usually on the same page, which is amazing. It's like, we don't argue about stuff that's just like, no, this is, our arguments will be about, the Hawks or something. Like, it's never what's going on in the house, or how we think the kids should be raised, or how we should be dealing with each other. It's never that. So I feel like that's a blessing, and that's something that's a testament to what we believe as Muslims, what we should be doing, and the roles for sure that we play as husband and wife.
Got you. Yeah, that's important to understand, what you're on the same page about, you know what I mean? And it's the important things, minute things, like you said, like the Hawks and, all that other kind of stuff. It's like, we can argue about that all day long.
Right.
Right. Yeah. It is. It's so important. Like we talked about what should constitute premarital affairs or what discussions you should have. And that's definitely like, what is your vision for family? Like that's something that I think you and your could-be spouse should unpack and sit with for a while and really be honest. And
that's a premarital checkpoint for sure.
Right.
Speaking of premarital, so Latifah, I heard you mention that y'all kind of went through some. Asha, did you go through premarital counseling?
We did. You know what? We went through it. It was very brief. It was just like a sit down with the I remember my father and the imam.
Okay.
And we just kind of like, because I know premarital counseling is pretty comprehensive. Like you go and you come back. This was just like a one time, because we were really ready to we were pressing that gas. Like, let's go. It's time to get married. This is ordained. Allah wants this for us.
Right.
But so that little one session was good. And it did bring up kind of some potentials for conflicts, but ultimately we decided, we ultimately we know that this is the union that we want. So we'll cross those bridges when we get to them.
Gotcha. So how long was your, out of the 13 days, how much premarital counseling did you all do, Latifah?
We had 3 sessions.
Okay.
Y'all got
I'm telling you, that 3 number is going to come up so many times.
Got you.
1900. Oh, my soul, you tried it.
But okay. So so you both kind of would basically advise somebody to definitely have premarital counseling.
For sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think so. So my first marriage, I didn't. So I definitely know the difference. Like I have something to compare it to. I didn't know anything.
Got you.
I didn't know anything about marriage and what we're supposed to do and, money and none of that. Premarital counseling, I think, is good to ask those questions that need to be asked that may even make you uncomfortable, but things that you need to know going into a marriage.
Got you.
Oh, yeah.
Period.
Got you.
Yeah. Particularly for young people. I mean, older people that may have had a marriage or a half a marriage under the belt, they may, have some things that they've considered. But young people, yes, for sure. And I remember you guys have talked about your premarital Ayub and Dola, and it just sounded amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
We took a little time, you know what I'm saying? We took a little time.
Yeah. Y'all didn't take that much time either.
No, I mean, time is always relative, right?
It is, right?
But so I mean, we decided in October, and then we got married in December. So I mean, it was quick to some people as well. You know what I mean? So time is always relative.
October,
yeah. So it's 3 months. That 3 again.
That 3 number.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah, but so what was it like? Like, did you have this euphoric kind of fairy tale idea of marriage prior to getting married, or were you more realistic going into the marriage to know that it's not going to be this fairy tale situation?
I think that I was more realistic. Might say I'm textbook pessimist. No, let me stop. No, but of course I know which of the favors of your Lord will you deny. Of course you hope for this euphoric, but I had been married before.
Okay.
So I knew it wasn't going to be a complete bed of roses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't confused.
Huh?
I wasn't confused about it was never going to be a fairy tale. I wasn't prepared probably for, I wasn't prepared for us being married in 13 days and how much that affected so many other people, in the sense of, one thing I didn't like, my mother wasn't involved, which was a problem. which is why she got blocked. And
You had to block your mama?
Listen, we had to take it offline, okay? We had to be
mama.
But I think that I wasn't prepared for, you know, the family ties to, like, I was just thinking like, look, we did it. Now y'all gotta jump on board, but everybody is not gonna be on board, regardless of how much time, you know, I wasn't prepared for that. Like, I had never experienced anything like that before, where it was like people weren't, I mean, I'm sure it had something to do with the time, but still, like, I just wasn't prepared for that. But as far as a fairy tale, I knew it wasn't gonna be that either.
Got you.
Yeah.
So I was somewhere in the middle, and then when it went all the way to the extreme, I was like,
whoa. Oh man.
You know, what was it like? Was it a sense of fear going? Because both of you all said that you all were previously married. Was it a sense of fear going into the second marriage?
Not for me.
Yeah, I didn't really have a sense of fear because, like I said, I was really clear on what it is that my must-haves, and my spouse and my intended at the time, you know, he was really clear on those and was confident in his ability to meet those things. So yeah, we there was no sense of fear. So.
That's good.
I think that coming into it, like I said, you know, I put my trust in the law, and so many things fell into place that were just, it kind of surprised me. So it was like, oh no matter what, I know these things, like, he got me in this way and that way, you know. I was good. I didn't have any fear, but that's also not normal.
I was just about to ask you, like,
let me be clear about that as well.
Right.
I was just about to ask you what, because I know there was a time where you had to kind of get over it. I know there was some fear, right? So how did you get over that, you know, to want to get back out there and try again, you know?
There was never any doubt that I wanted children, I wanted a family, and I wanted to be married. That and not in that order, but you know what I mean? I knew that was what I wanted in my life. So I really can't, there was never a fear of marriage. There may have been a fear of it not working out, but not getting there, like not the marriage part. Like I never feared just my feelings so hard.
Right. Just jump in.
Man. But I never had that fear. I always knew that being a wife and a mother was in my cards some way, somehow.
Got you.
Yeah.
What about you, Asha?
Same. Like, I knew, I mean, and I feel like it was an immense blessing that Allah kind of struck my heart with the intensity that he did, but he was just like, you need to get married. Like, you know, I was a wee bit of a wild child, just, you know,
just a little bit.
Just, you know, and I knew that, you know, the things that I needed, and no, of course, I'm not under the delusion that anybody completes anybody else, but just that what I would need to kind of supplement my growth and development. And yeah, I knew I needed to find that believing man and get married. That would, you know, my husband needed to be kind of emblematic of discipline and remembrance. Yeah. I mean, that's what I prayed for.
Right. That's what you needed to kind of balance yourself out.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha.
That's what I pray for. And that's not to say that it's always you know, a bed of roses, because sometimes we're like, wait a minute. And I remember I had to talk with Aunt Khadija. It was years ago, and I was having, you know, going through it like, you know, he get on my nerve. And then you know, in full transparency, one of those kind of times where you might be 1 foot out the door type of thing. And she was like, what did you pray for in a mate? And I told her, and she was like, AKA Isan Muhammad. Like everything that you just told me, that's what you prayed for. So voila, there you go.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
Now go on about your business.
Right.
Yeah.
End of story.
End of story.
Yeah, since you bring it up, like that you bounce stuff off of her, like how important is it to have those people that have your best interests at heart, but also understand that they want to see the marriage work? How important is it to have people like that around you?
Do you want to
go ahead? No,
okay. I just was saying, so very important. And you can almost, I feel like Allah kind of give you a sense of who those people are and who they aren't. And so, because some people would be like, just keep everybody out your marriage. I don't think that's, I don't think that's feasible. So you do have to have some sounding boards and some trusted people. So they're very, very, very important.
Got you. What about you, Latifah?
Yeah, I agree. You learn, if you're paying attention, you learn those people who really, really want you to be together. Like you learn who those people are. And I agree with Asha. You keep people out your marriage. I get the whole family thing, keep the family out your marriage, because if it's something crazy, and then like I don't know that I would recommend necessarily your close family, or I would say siblings and parents type stuff, unless you know for sure that they have your best interest at heart or want you. Not, I shouldn't say have, because your parents have the best interest at heart, but I mean they'll give you sound advice and sound not just did we lose them? No, not just sound advice, but just kind of wanting your marriage to work, no matter what, like work it out. I have the work it out. I have the sounding boards. I have the people who are like, I knew she was back. I knew that's what it was. I have the people who are. I have the people who will be mad when I'm mad and over it when I'm over it.
Gotcha.
That's what you need.
That's very important for me. Like you can't hold on to it if I'm not. Like you got to let it go. I let it go. But then there's people who will hold on to it, so you got to keep them people out for sure. Like everything is always rosy.
Right. Yep. For those people.
I'm gonna assume what y'all was talking about, and when you be mad, I'll be mad. That's how I'm about.
Right.
I'm like, what you do?
Right. We love him now. We love him now.
Love him now. You ain't not do nothing else.
See what happened? See what happened when she come in?
Right.
The shift, you know what I'm saying? The shift. That woman energy is real. It's real. It is.
I fight for my sisters.
Right. What is it that you always tell Asha that she prays for that she's always tested with?
Oh, patience.
That's okay. So you said, I must be praying for patience. Okay, that's what it is.
Stop.
Yeah.
Pray for the patience to endure whatever you come across, but don't pray for patience because you only get patience through trial.
Word. Word to your mother.
Don't pray for patience. All of you out there in virtual land, don't pray for patience.
That's not the move, huh?
Not the move.
So just shifting, and now I can bring her into the conversation a little bit. What do you do for yourself to keep the marriage strong and thriving? Like just for you, not for you as a couple, but for you. What are some of the things that you do to kind of keep the marriage strong and thriving?
One thing about La, she gonna go travel somewhere.
That's for her. That's for her.
She gonna be sorry.
I'm gonna be like you when I grow up. That's why I said that.
Not hearing them trees fall in the forest.
Right.
Oh my God.
Right. I do many versions of that. Just kind of just go. And my spouse is really accommodating. He knows that I'm a tiny bit cray, just a tiny.
You gotta be a little bit crazy, or it's not gonna work.
Just a little bit. So I just be like, I got to go. So just going and getting my space so that I can bring fulfilled me to the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, to add on to that, I will go take a trip. However, one thing that I do that I'm actually very consistent with is telling him when I'm about to blow a gasket. Like I tell him before it happens. I'm like, look, you don't want me to do it. You don't want me to get there, because when I get there, it's gonna be all bad for everybody.
Right.
But I've told, I will tell him like, yo, I need a break. This is what I need. Like I will be very specific. Like I've learned to be very specific. Like, look, I need y'all to clean this house up. I'm about to go to Target and I get back. I don't want to see all these toys on the floor, okay? Or I'm gonna lose it. But yeah, so he's been very receptive to that. Like if I tell him I need a break, I'm stressed out, I'm frustrated. He's supportive, and he'll do his best to make sure that line isn't crossed.
They know.
I'm working on what you just said, Latifah, the communication part. I was terrible at that, and I used to just swallow it down and be mad. Like, how do you not see the foolishness? And I was told by a man who's been married a long time, we don't see it. You got to say it. Like, don't think that because it's this for you, it's this for him. You got to speak. You got to say your piece in the moment, and consistently. So that's something I'm working on. Beyond that, I have drawn boundaries where I never had them before. And so something as simple as when I'm eating, don't sit in my lap. As old as my children are, that's something I have to remind them. Like, no, mom's eating, don't sit in my lap. Or if I'm taking a bath, don't knock on the door because you got two parents. Or, just stuff like that. Like real simple sounding boundaries, but I didn't have them before, maybe 2 years ago? I did a massage once a month pre-pandemic. And it was like, if mommy is getting her massage, unless someone is legit dying, I'm talking about they got half their volume of blood on the floor. I'm talking about somebody's having a seizure. Don't come out here. Yeah. I don't care if that is here or not. The answer to your question is yes.
Right.
Yes, you can watch. Yes, you can do. You know the rules. Don't talk to me. And the massage thing was crucial. Like it was a super game changer to do that. Just for one, the healing touch is such a big thing that as Americans don't do enough of. But then for two, just to have that time, that's just for me. And I would fall asleep on my table. I would lay there. I would eat afterwards, like just kind of let it extend past the hour. And I feel like that was the biggest thing. Is just some basic boundaries.
One of the things that you kind of touched on is just recognizing, what your husband's best is. Like when husbands are making the efforts, right? How significant is that to recognize what's your husband's best? Like, you might think that it should be here, but his best is here.
But is it his best?
I mean,
I think that we talk about best a lot, but we don't really talk about best. We do enough. We do enough.
I think best can be relative. That's why I think it's real important to kind of recognize the intention behind something. Because it's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. And I'm not really usually one to get caught up in how or whatever, but if you start talking about love languages, mine is definitely like acts of service, because it shows that you care about what my experience is in the world. So so like I forget who I was talking to, but I was like, I feel like it really is, when you're married, it's your job to kind of be a little bit amazing for your spouse every day. It may not be great amounts of amazing. If it's just one tiny amazing, that's your job, both of you. Both of you. Yeah.
Gotcha. You got anything to add, Miss Latifah?
Yeah, it's just I recognize what, not even just like if whether or not it's his best, but I recognize what he is really good at.
Yeah.
Like there are things that he is really, really good at. And if I can get him to do those things, then I can focus on something that I might need to do, right? Because like, for example, it even goes back to, before we got married, he is really good with our children. He's good with kids, period, but he's really good with our children. If they're sick, I'm like, I can't deal with the projectile vomiting. You gotta take it. I can't deal with it. Like, and he can deal with it. Like, I know that he's better than me when it comes to stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm gonna be honest, you're better. So I need you to deal with it. And the other thing that one of the other thing I was gonna add to with like things that I do for me, I actually enjoy spending time with him. So us even having time together is beneficial to me, as opposed to just always being about work or always being about the kids or what's going on with the house, whatever. But us just having a long time, and even if we're taking trips or something like that, like it's very important for us to have those breaks too. But I recognize that he is very, very good at certain things. So when I need something, I can just maybe just, go and pass him the torch on some things, and I just, and I just chill out or do whatever it is that I want him to do. Like there's things that I want him to do that I know he's not going to do. Like I'll need him to do it. So I'm like, okay, you do this, and then I'll just handle this. Like if I can just take stuff off my plate. So.
Got you. All right. What you got? What's on your mind?
I think that it's a combination of what I started saying and what you said, Latifah, is not so much of the best, but more what are you good at?
Mm-hmm.
I remember, when did we move out the house? 2 years ago? So it was about 2 years ago. Yeah, that's when I started drawing out my little lines and boundaries. I was feeling overwhelmed with the situation that I had set up in my home in terms of what I did, and being the project manager and the implementer, and it needs to be this way, so I got to do it, and it just was too much. And so we moved to a smaller space so that I could manage it better. And then it dawned on me, it's two of us. Like, I don't have to do this. We can do this. And so it became a situation of just letting him do it how he does it. It might not be his best. It might not be what he's good at. It might not be nothing that I want to see happen, but the bathroom is clean. Is it clean by Friday? Just clean it by Friday. Like, make sure it's clean by Friday. And you can make the girls do it for all I care. I don't want to do it. And so before that, I definitely had a much more firm idea of, no, it should be done like this, or the towel should be folded that way. Are the towels clean? Are they not in the middle of the floor? Like, only reason they can't be in the middle of the floor is because my children will put them back in the dirty clothes. So it's not that I care that they're in the floor, but I don't want to wash clean towels. So, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Like, just how do you do it? It doesn't have to be a best. It doesn't have to be great. Just get it done. And that has been a struggle for me, honestly. I like opening the linen closet and seeing a storm of stuff fall out. But I have gotten very good at pushing it right back on in there and shutting that door. That's your closet. Like, girls, these are not my towels. My towels are put neatly on my shelf. So, yeah, so that's probably my biggest struggle and perk kind of thing, like letting go of a lot of what I wanted to see happen to a point. I'm the only person in the house that cares if there's like a bunch of random stuff that you might break your neck on. So I'm like, all right, now y'all got to get rid of this. But beyond like the clutter or everything out of its place, or random cabinet doors and refrigerator doors open, tops off of stuff like that. Beyond that, I ain't gonna let go of that one. Beyond that, it's just do it, just get it done. Let's not be wasteful. Let's live in a clean space. Just make sure stuff gets done.
Okay, all right. So y'all all seem fairly simple in the realm of maintaining a sense of self to be strong in your marriage. It doesn't take a lot. You know what I mean? Y'all ain't looking for the bags and the shoes and all that.
So beyond that.
Right.
But you know, the content so many things you can do.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's how you get the trip from the housekeeper.
Right.
For me though, it's like forget the bag, but you can bring a housekeeper. You can bring
Yeah.
You can bring the chef. He's brought the chef a few times, so I wouldn't have to cook. And I wouldn't have to eat like his food.
Oh, goodness.
That's what's up.
His sandwich.
Right. Yeah. So just shifting the conversation a little bit, like how have you seen the evolution of the marriage process, and where do you see it going, especially now with all these apps for different things, and now they even got Muslim apps and all that kind of stuff, like to meet different people. Like, how do you see that process evolving?
I feel kind of far removed from it because I don't know what's going on in them dating streets. But I know if they bypass at all any of the things that we've talked about, just kind of the vouching for process, the some semblance of premarital counseling, they on shaky bedrock. They got shaky ground to begin with. And how you begin a thing is what you can expect throughout the life of it and what. So if it's, I don't know, some type of flyby, that's not to completely discount. Like I think I know some people who have met through those platforms, but more power.
I should say,
I would love. I mean, like ideally, like to have my children interact in court with people that they've come up with, that we've seen, their families, we've seen so
I think we all would want that, right? We would want that familiarity with whoever our children for sure end up with. I'm not mad at the apps, especially now, right? Like we're in a pandemic, people can't kick it, like they're not meeting people. I really wish that we could bring back stuff that we had, right? Like all the conferences for the young folks. Like we don't have those things anymore. And I swear, I know like 80% of the Muslims that I know are like around the country is because of things like that. It's because of like the riyadas, because of, the more for youth type stuff back in the day.
ISO.
Yeah, right.
I'm about to say I might be dating myself. I think that was before y'all, but ISO.
No, it's like, I remember that. I think
I was in college.
I think that those things are great. I'm not mad at the technology is the wave, right? So you're gonna have access to more people. You're gonna have access to more choices. And Allah says this earth is spacious. So if that's the way that we are able to meet people and like that's how they get together, then so be it. But to Asha's point, those basic things still need to be there. Like just however you meet. However, in me, again, like let me be open to however I meet him. Had it been technology, like then that's what it was, Right. But I think that at the end of the day, no matter what, you still have to have those basic trust, your trust in Allah, what you looking for, and being honest with yourself, with what you're getting and what it is, and just can't be playing games like that. You got to be ready for sure.
Yeah. So that old school way, it still can be implemented in technology.
Right.
Got you.
It has to. Yeah.
Got you. What you think?
I feel like y'all said it all. It has its place. It's useful, but some stuff you still got to do.
Got you. One of the things, Latifah, you said you wouldn't recommend nobody to, get married in 13 days, right? But like, what?
My parents did that.
I was about to say, I think my mom and dad 2 weeks or something.
2 weeks, yeah.
Right. What do you want to instill in your children about marriage?
Ooh, that's loaded. I talked about kind of being an example, right? And for me, so my parents weren't married forever, you know what I mean? So for me, it's very important that my children see us together. And one thing that someone in my family pointed out to me, is that my children have never known when me and him were like, if we were going through it. Like, they don't know the details. They don't hear us arguing. Like, it's funny because on the one hand, it's like, I don't want them to think it doesn't happen.
Right.
Right. But on the other hand, I need them to know, I want them to see something healthy. Like, I want them to see us, even if we disagree, and we've disagreed in front of them, but it's never been like, anything crazy. You got text messages for. So I just feel like I want my children to see a healthy, happy relationship between between their parents, and hopefully strive to have that when they get older, when they get married. And I think they ask questions. They definitely ask questions, and I try to give them the examples of, like, everybody doesn't do this, right? Because you're going to see a bunch of different things, but this is how we want you to see it, or do we want, this is what we want you to know about marriage. This is what we want you to know about relationships. And just pray about it, because you never know how these kids gonna turn out. Like, I already know I feel bad for whoever ends up with Saima. Okay.
Oh my God! Don't name her.
Listen, people who know me know her and know that they better be ready. Okay.
I got one of those too.
Right. Because she gonna want the bags.
But as you both have said, it changes over time. You know what I mean?
It does.
Yeah. Right.
Well, that's gonna be her initial, okay?
Out the gate. She coming out the gate.
It's gonna be cool because they're not gonna be confused about her needs and her wants. She's gonna be clear. Like, oh no, you thought.
What about you, Asha? Because your children are a little bit older than Latifah's children, so right. I mean, they're kind of getting to that age where it's about time to start talking about because they like the opposite sex. Right? Because one of the things that me and adults talk about all the time is like, no, you're supposed to like boys. That's natural, But like, how are you supposed to like them?
And what do you do with it?
Right. What do you do with it? So with your children being teenagers, all of them, what is?
Hey, your baby is a teenager.
Yeah, all of them.
My baby, I know. Shout to Hassan Ali. Yeah. I want my children to realize that, if you want to be all that you can be, marriage really takes you to the pinnacle of yourself. Like, it is the conduit to just really polish yourself. And it makes you work on all the things Allah loves, patience, remembrance, suppressing your nafs. Like, so if you want something real in this world, because we up against all this noise, all this other noise and distraction, arguably more so now than when we were kids. But if you want something real, then you need to be, that's marriage. That's you and a good God-fearing mate. Yeah, inshallah.
What about you, man?
I want our girls to know themselves very well before they get married, and know that they should continue with that. Continue with the improving and the self-validating and all of the stuff. You were saying, Latifah, about the example, setting a good example. I think about that a lot. Even something as simple as brushing my eyebrows down and putting on some lip gloss. Something that basic. It's like I used to do it. I used to not really want them to see me put makeup on because I didn't want them to think of it like, oh, mommy's trying to wear makeup and you're gonna get makeup because you're gonna. And I was like, well, no, I actually very much enjoy not having flyaway eyebrows and ashy lips. So let them see this. This is okay. You know, it's cool to do these maintenance kind of things for yourself because I can be doing something and you can say, oh, why are you doing it? I don't really like that. And I'm like, oh, that's unfortunate. It's for me. And so I'm not going to intentionally do things to my appearance that he legit dislikes because I need to be, presentable for my spouse. Like, I get that. But on the flip side of that, I'm here for me first. And I really want the girls to be here for themselves first and to be courageous enough to be who they truly are, entering their relationships and maintaining their relationships. Because that's probably the biggest thing that I didn't do well. And one of my brothers was like, what? You? Like, that's stupid. But I had these ideas of what a wife is supposed to be. And I tried to be that. Instead of being Ndola as a good wife, I tried to be a good wife as Ndola. And it didn't work very well. And I was not very happy. And I was resentful. And he was chilling. And it wasn't good. And I would be so confused about where the confusion was because we used to talk so much. There was so much communication, but I wasn't saying the right stuff. And a lot of it had to do with not being totally clear about who I was in the grand scheme of things. Or really, that's not true. I was clear about it. I wasn't confident in being it. So it was kind of like, well, maybe if I soften this and polish that, but you got to have a place where you can just be raw and just be exposed. And I think marriage is that place. Maintain some kindness, maintain some censoring when necessary. But for the most part, you got to have a place where you can just be bare and exposed. And I think when you're little, that place should be home. And when you're married, that place should be with your spouse. I don't have to be perfect or at 10 or really, I don't have to be anything. I'm just, hi, like, it took me so long to get to that place. And of course, all children have that. And so it's like trying to preserve that in the children so that they can maintain that strong sense of self going into their relationship. And I feel like a lot of the other stuff will come with the other just basic child rearing that we're trying to do. Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Speaking of child rearing, next week our series is going to be transitioning into parenting, right? Like we talked about oneself, right? We talked about oneself and getting yourself ready to be married, and then we talked about marriage, right? Then we talked about marriage, and now the other side of marriage is when you start having children. What that dynamic is like, and this should be interesting. This should be interesting. You got any last words?
I don't know. I missed the first little.
I know. Besides, we're gonna try to get her here next week. This is what week.
Yeah. You held it down, though, bro. You held it down.
I had to let him. Lies. And then after that, and then the thing, and then the
that's what it was. It was intentional.
I had a project that came up.
Right. Let's be real about what happened.
Right. We definitely appreciate you coming on. And before we go, we definitely got to give y'all some shout outs. We got A ampersand. You go ahead.
I ampersand A editing.
That right. The ampersand is just because I couldn't get the and in that domain was already taken. So so for the .com it is I_A.com.
This is more fitting for you and him. Y'all are
Yeah, so this is this is Asha and her husband's business. They do some editing. So if you need anything edited, whether it's a text message or a whole thesis,
right.
Because some people's text messages be kind of
we can edit those.
They need to be rewritten.
Exactly. And then to Mrs. Latifah Ali and the Ali Clique, make sure you follow them on Facebook, IG, and YouTube at the Ali Clique. You know, they do big things. You know, they're doing some big things. You know,
hilarious.
Make sure you follow the Shakors. Follow, like, and share at the Shakors. You know, some good information. You know what I mean? And then the Miss Indigo, the real podcast. She has a podcast now. Yeah. So, you know, stay tuned for that. But she has a couple of things on there now, and you can check it out at the link tree at the Real Indigo. And also, this young lady here, she put together a little Black Excellence activity book, and you can check it out at payhip.com/indigo. That's it. All right. And
Indigo.
Edit my book, but I waited to the last minute. So the next book I ever sent A is gonna be our editors.
And you know, right. Through marriage, we had some children, and you know, our children got a little business, just a little business. You know, at Jazz Crafted on all social media platforms.
Yes.
And you can find
don't need me here.
I'm learning that this is my part because she be forgetting. So this is my part, right? This is my part. And so you can find them at myjazzofficial.com. Check them out. You know, get your little something. You know, we washing our hands a lot these days. You know what I'm saying? Stay moisturized. You know, I think both of you two are avid customers of the girl.
Yes, we are. Yes, we
are. I put it on display when people be coming over here. It's like, you don't know about that. You don't know about that. I can tell you.
That's that love.
Right. Appreciate y'all. So, you know, again, thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you for coming and joining us for the last 20 minutes.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for having me.
Right. And, y'all keep doing big things, man. I think that we're all motivating each other to, you know, continue to do some big things, to have a positive impact on society. You know, we're surrounded by a lot of negativity, and let's just keep doing what we do, family. Let's keep doing what we do. All right.
I love it.
Yep.
Thank you guys for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
All right. We'll talk to y'all later.
Okay.
All right.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.